videos, they can close their videos. So, okay, Nick. I'm going to share my screen and bring some slides up if I could do that. So are we okay with slides? Can people see them?
Perfect, Grant. Yes, Grant.
Grand. Okay. Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to this session on district leadership and why perhaps you should think about becoming one of the district leaders. I'm John Cox, and I'm the immediate past district director, but I'm also the chair of the district leadership committee, and I'll explain a little bit more about that later on in the evening. I hope everybody's well and trust that you're still keeping safe in these challenging times. We were announced yesterday in Nottinghamshire, where I live, that we're in tier 3 next week, which is the highest level of restriction. So, but we are going to be released at Christmas for a few days, so that's going to be great. If you do have any questions, could I please suggest that you put them into chat? And I think when Elizabeth comes on, perhaps she'll feed those to me later on. We are due to finish at 8 o'clock, and hopefully we will finish earlier than that with the slides and my presentation to give you an opportunity to raise some questions. So let's press on. The agenda this evening is that I want to really look at why people should be interested in district leadership. We will look at what's in it for the individual, and to a certain extent I'll talk a little bit about why I got involved and what I've got out of it. We're going to look at the key roles that are involved in district leadership and the procedure to apply for the future elections, and then the timescales and the various processes that we need to go through. I thought this slide, this clip that I've put in captures everything really about leadership and the fact that people matter, and from our point of view, members matter. And I guess that it's our responsibility as leaders to ensure that our members get everything they want to get out of their membership. And perhaps, you know, we can talk a little bit about that again as we go through the evening. But I've had 5 great years on the district leadership team, and prior to that I've been a division governor and I've been an area governor, which was pre-directors, and I'm area governor twice. I was area governor in area 39, and then that split and we became area 6 where I am, and I was also the first area governor for area 6 as well. So I've had several great years involved in district leadership, and I can certainly say that I've enjoyed the camaraderie. I've met lots of new people and made new friendships. I've enjoyed the teamwork that we were involved in as a result of that. I've enjoyed the challenges and the successes. And of course, COVID last year was one of those challenges, and it's been really interested in looking at how we can address that and get people online and ensure that members continue to get what they want to get out of their membership. Certainly, I think if I hadn't got involved in district leadership, maybe my interest in Toastmasters might have waned. You know, certainly it's kept me interested, kept me motivated, and kept me enthused about Toastmasters. So what is the purpose? What is the role of district directors, district leaders? We're familiar with the Toastmasters mission. We empower individuals to become more effective communicators and leaders. And hopefully we're all familiar with our Toastmasters values of integrity, respect, service, and excellence. I've highlighted the district mission because this is really our purpose as district leaders. What are we there to do? What are we there to deliver in that particular role? And we're responsible for looking for new club opportunities. And I think it's all about sustainable clubs as well. Certainly that was in my various things that I've been involved with international. sustainable clubs has been the thrust of building new clubs that will survive and stand the test of time. And of course, it's about supporting all clubs in achieving excellence, and people will be familiar with the fact that I've been banging on about excellence in the years that I've been involved on the district leadership team. I think that we have a golden opportunity now with Pathways to ensure that every single one of our members gets the opportunity to get awards and to get recognition. And maybe that's one of our challenges in achieving excellence, is to ensure that 100% of our members get exactly what they want out of their membership. And to a certain extent, that's going to be about awards and recognition. So where do we sit in the Toastmasters structure? We're going to be talking tonight about division directors and members of the district leadership team. Those are the two key areas where we will be involved in elections at the district council meeting in May next year. The division director is responsible for the division council, and the division director can have assistant division directors for program quality and club growth. And of course, they also have the area directors of the division. So that is their team of people that they are involved in and are engaged with. And then over the other side, in the district, we have the district council, which is made up of the district executive committee, or the DEC as it is known, and the club presidents and vice presidents of education. You can see there that the district executive committee is made up of those various people there. I think what's quite interesting is if you look at the assistants, those to a certain extent as a potential or prospective district leaders as well. So it's another opportunity to get the experience without necessarily the responsibilities, and maybe in subsequent years to think about moving on to division director as well. So why district leadership? What is in it for us as individuals? What can we get out of it? This is taken directly out of the district leadership handbook, and perhaps I'll give you a few seconds to have a read of that rather than me reading it out to you. I rather like that phrase, a noble mission. That could be a word of the evening, couldn't it? Noble. I bet it's not a word that we use that often. Again, if I can reinforce that phrase, educational excellence, you know, what does that look like? And I'll come back to the fact that with Pathways, it creates an opportunity for every single member in our club to get at least one level in the year and to get recognition for that achievement. Now, that to me is to a certain extent what educational excellence is all about. But of course, it's also about quality as well. If you are seeking future district leadership, then I would certainly suggest that you download the district leadership handbook and read that in and get a better idea of the various roles and responsibilities for various district leaders. I'd like to thank Kevin Lee, who was last year's district leadership committee chair, for some of the suggestions in terms of what are the benefits of becoming a district leader. And perhaps I'll just run through those with you. Again, you can read them, so I don't want to repeat them word for word. Certainly, achieving district distinguished Toastmaster, there is a demand to actually do some leadership activity at district level. District leaders do have a budget to work with, and when we used to meet face to face, they would have a travel allowance and they would have funding to attend the annual conference. We learn an awful lot from visiting other clubs. I guess that we learn things that we can actually take back to our own club, and we learn things that we can actually give to other clubs that would help them raise the quality of their meeting and the experience that our members and guests can get from attendance. There is no doubt that you get a lot more opportunities to speak. This week is a good example for me. I've already done 2 presentations this week, and this is my 3rd. So there are plenty of other opportunities to get outside of your club and have other speaking opportunities. Whenever a member of the district leadership team goes to an event, we usually try and spend a bit of time recognizing clubs and members for any of their achievements whilst we're in attendance. You would become part of the district executive committee, which is the DEC. And of course, we are ambassadors for Toastmasters International in our location. I've added this item at the bottom because we certainly involved in district leadership, we learn some skills that are transferable, particularly if we're out in the business community. I've certainly learned skills that would help me inspire and encourage people outside of Toastmasters. And also I've learned some business skills such as planning, how to grow an organization, how to budget, how to manage finances, marketing and PR, customer care and customer satisfaction, and how to develop others. And to me, those are all very good transferable skills outside of Toastmasters. Some of the longer term benefits beyond the 12 months. Certainly, I believe that knowledge that we gain by visiting other clubs enables us to take some of that knowledge back to our own clubs and encourage our clubs to raise the quality in our clubs and also to strive towards excellence. It moves on to other district leadership roles. My first job on the district leadership team was finance, and I did 2 years on finance, and then I moved on to the other 3 roles within the district leadership team. There are opportunities to move beyond the district. We are in Region 10, and there are opportunities to become a region advisor for Region 10. And also you could move on to become an international director. And of course, we pick up those skills that I mentioned earlier on, those business management skills, the ability to negotiate, the ability to influence and persuade and inspire others. And occasionally we have to wrestle with the challenges of trying to resolve conflict. And we gain a lot of new friends along the way. So what are the roles that we're actually talking about here? What are the roles that eventually come up for election at the annual district council meeting in May? All districts elect their district director. That's the role that Gerard holds this year, and I held it the year before. All districts elect their program quality director, PQD, and all districts elect their club growth director. We also elect division directors, and they can be elected for a second year. I think we have somebody this year that's in their second year as a division director. Some districts also elect their public relations manager, and we certainly do that in District 71. We elect our public relations manager. but administration manager and finance manager are appointed in District 71, and they're appointed by the district director. And area directors are elected by the area council, which, if you remember what I mentioned earlier on, the area council is made up of, I'm thinking about this now, the division director, the area directors, that is the area council. Oh, and sorry, the presidents and VPEs of the clubs in the area. So what is the procedure to apply, and what happens next, and what are the timescales? I want to first of all talk about the qualifications to become a district leader. For all elective officers, they have to be an active member in good standing for the entire preceding 12 months, or 12 consecutive months within the past 3 years. For district director, you need to have had 6 consecutive months as a club president and 12 consecutive months as a program quality director or club growth director or division director. For program quality director and club growth director, you need to have had 6 consecutive months as club president and 12 consecutive months as program quality director, club growth director, division director, or an area director. And for division directors, you need to have had 6 consecutive months as members of the district council. So that doesn't necessarily mean to be our district council. You could be a district council in another district. There are 3 documents that I would suggest that you get your hands on. You can download them from the Toastmasters International website. They are the District Leadership Handbook, the District Leader Qualifications and Responsibilities, and there's a document that identifies all the competencies for the various district leader roles. So I'd certainly encourage you to download those and take a look at them. I'd like to introduce you to the District Leadership Committee. This year we have got a full committee, so every one of our divisions is represented, and it's represented by a past division director or a past assistant division director. I'd like to thank them for their promptness in responding to me and volunteering. And certainly after this meeting, I'll be back in touch with them to discuss our future meetings and process. The responsibility of the district leadership team are to seek out qualified candidates, particularly in their divisions. They will be responsible for interviewing the candidates, and they will be responsible for evaluating and voting on who we put forward for nomination. In terms of the nomination process, so first of all, it's about announcing your candidacy. There are certain documents that need completing when you make that announcement. You need to complete the district leader nominating form. And again, these can be downloaded from the Toastmasters International website. And I think they were also, I know that they were also in Gerard's call for nominations, and there will be 2nd and 3rd calls for nominations going out, I guess in December and January. So you need to complete the district leader nominating form. You need to complete the district leader agreement and release statement and the candidate application form. The deadline for that is the 14th of March 2021. And please email those documents to me at that email address. We then have the District Leadership Committee evaluation. And that is an interview by 2 DLC members for each role. They may interview individually or they may interview as a pair. Those DLC members complete the candidate evaluation form, and then at some stage we will vote on the various people that they have interviewed. That will take place between the 15th of March and the 9th of April 2021. I've then got 24 hours to produce the DLC report. I wanted to make sure that we gave the DLC enough time between the 14th of March and the report being published to get their interviews done. I mean, they've got basically a month. So the majority of vote of the DLC will put people forward as nominated candidates. Candidates will be then notified of the outcome, and nominated candidates then need to confirm their willingness to serve. That DLC report will be published on the 10th of April 2021. It has to be within 6 weeks of the district council meeting. So just to confirm a bit more detail around the district officer election timetable. Between the 11th of November, which is when the first call for candidate nominations went out from district director, to the 15th of January 2021. That will be when we are calling for candidate nominations. As I said, I think last year I sent out a second and a third call for candidates. I will leave Gerard to decide how often he wants to do that. The 14th of March 2021 is the deadline to declare your intention to run. Between the 15th of March and the 9th of April 2021 is when the District Leadership Committee will be interviewing and evaluating the candidates. And on the 10th of April 2021 is when the District Leadership Committee report will be published. Nominated candidates will be announced, and other eligible candidates who were not nominated may opt to run as floor candidates. 24th of April 2021 is the deadline for floor candidates to declare. 4 weeks before the district council meeting. The district council meeting is online, and that is going to be on the 22nd of May 2021. And we have to then submit all of the information on the elected officers by the 15th of July 2021. A little bit about nominated versus floor candidates. Nominated candidates meet the eligibility and qualification. They have to complete the District Leadership Committee evaluation, and they have to receive the majority of the District Leadership Committee votes. District and club websites may list the nominated candidates. Regarding floor candidates, they too have to meet the eligibility and qualification. They too have to complete the District Leadership Committee evaluation apart from the Public Relations Manager. And just bear in mind that the reason for not being nominated may be viewed adversely by the voters. A little bit about the district conference on the 22nd of May. Again, it will be an online district council meeting in 2021. In terms of voting delegates, there are 2 votes per club, presidents and VPEs, and with it being online, no proxies will be allowed. District council members also get 1 vote, but again, no proxies will be allowed. And all district council members will vote for all elected positions. I'd like to now call upon Moira Beaton, who will just give an overview of her experience as being a division director last year. So please welcome Moira.
Thank you, John. My experience as a division director last year, overall, I enjoyed it. It wasn't all plain sailing, but then these leadership positions never are. Things that I took away were, as John talked about earlier, transferable skills. There were lots of them. I also realized what my communication style was, and that wasn't from doing the Pathways project several times, and leadership and communication style as well. Sorry, can you hold on 1 second, please? Sorry, there was a conversation going on right next to me on the phone. Yes, so leadership and communication styles. And there were some things that looking back, I think I probably could have done better. Anyone going for division director, it is quite a lot of work, but then again, it's what you make it. I'm one of these people that if you give me something to do, or I have something to do, then I'll overdo it. So that's my fault. You have a team around you, and I would advise anyone to have assistant division directors. I only had 1. I had the club growth one, which he was very successful. We nearly started 2 corporate clubs in Division S, but unfortunately COVID intervened. I didn't have anyone for PR, but looking back, probably I should have, but PR is one of the things that I personally like, and I thought, well, I'll just do it myself. But I think if you can get somebody to do that for you, then that would be even better. I also like to keep in touch with people. So I used to produce about a 2-3 monthly newsletter for the division and send that out. I also tried to go to as many clubs as I could to visit them. Again, COVID intervened, but I went to their contests. I went to the area contests. I also had monthly meetings with the area directors. They didn't all turn up at the same time, but we got most of them. So it's good to just keep in touch. So what I'm trying to say, I think, is that if you're the division director, you're not sitting on a pedestal somewhere, you know, issuing orders to your area directors. You really have to be part of the team, and you have to keep in touch with them. And also they have problems. They have problems in the area, and you have to then be prepared to listen to them. I also had quite a few problems in the division referred to me, and they were all sorts of things. So it is quite busy, but if you're organized, I think then you can do it. It's very worthwhile. You won't be the same person at the 30th of June as you were on the 1st of July the year before, in a good way, I hope. And I think that's all I can say, John. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Moira. I guess one of the other things as well is that you will be receiving your area director's visit reports, and that to a certain extent gives you an opportunity to discuss some of the issues that maybe they're throwing up.
Yes. Although I have to be absolutely honest, my area director's reports mainly were not very full. That was one of the problems I had, because I had 2 area directors who didn't see the value in area director reports, to be quite frank. I then had to try and persuade them what the value was. So I didn't get a lot of value out of that. So that's something I think that if you're a division director, really you have to impress upon them what the value is, and explain to them why they're doing it, and other things as well, why they do the job they do. They do go to officer training, but sometimes you just need to have your input as well.
With it being Toastmasters International, there is an element of bureaucracy in the report, but I think the report does actually create an opportunity to give feedback to the club about how it could improve the quality of what it does, maybe suggestions of what you've observed in other clubs as well. So it has some value, and certainly it has some value about striving for excellence as well, about giving some feedback on things that could be done differently, and how they could engage members and how they could engage guests more. So thank you very much for that, Moira. I'll call upon Eileen O'Neill as well, because she's offered to talk a little bit about her experience as well. Please welcome Eileen.
Thanks, John. So I was Division C Director last year, thoroughly enjoyed the role. But if I'd say one thing, it stretches your boundaries and it makes you do things right outside your comfort zone. But I think it's the whole thing of holding up your hand and saying, yes, I'm going to do this. And when you've committed to it, you have to do it. And I was taking on roles that I normally wouldn't have taken on or wouldn't have volunteered to do. And as Moira said, you don't finish up a year later the same person. You finish up well, for what was for me a much better person. I suppose if I was looking at the 4 key things that I did as division director, one was the division success plan, which was right from the start, trying to get a handle on what are these clubs and do they need any support? What's their strength? What's their base membership numbers? What's their education program like so far? And then working with the area directors to say, where would we like to be in a year's time? Where would these clubs like to be in a year's time? And each of the area directors, of course, have their own goals as well in the Distinguished Club Programme. So that for me was really, really big and really important. And we met as a team quite regularly and we'd get updates on how the clubs were progressing. And then, of course, we had, similar to yourself, Moira, we had the opportunity to charter some new, and they were corporates as well. There was 2 up north and 2 in Dublin. And that was fantastic because I brought a team up with me to Belfast and another team up to Craigavon to put on a demonstration meeting. Great fun altogether. Now, one of those clubs chartered up north, the other one didn't, again because of COVID. And then one chartered in Dublin and the other didn't, again because of COVID. But it was fantastic, and getting to know those people who had an interest in pushing themselves to charter a club was super. Then, of course, was the whole event side of things. So you have 2 sessions of club officer training to organise every year, and then you have the 2 contests, division contests, and of course you have the area contests as well. But the area directors were brilliant, really capable of doing that, and quite often a club, as you know, hosts the area contests. So there's a good bit of work involved in doing the club officer training and the contest. We did the club officer training at division level. So you have to organize your venue. Event planning is something I took away as learning from that. It was great fun. It was great fun, but it was a lot of work. But at the end of it, I think when you finish and you turn around and people are coming up to you and saying that was a really good event and well done, you know, you feel as if, yeah, I did something good here. And I suppose the last thing then is the networking. And again, Moira mentioned it, you're visiting clubs and learning people. The amount of people I got to know in 1 year is probably more than I got to know in the previous 5 years or 6 years. It's phenomenal. And everybody is such a positive person. They're all up and all go-getters. Like, these are all people that you really want to have in your circle of friends because they bring you along, they stretch you. And something else that I loved about it was that you had expertise. I had expertise all around me. I only had to look to Ted Corcoran, happens to be in my division, Patricia O'Reilly, past district director, and they make themselves available. Brenda Lannon's on the call today. Brenda was super for me. So just to have people there that you can call on is fantastic as well. And everybody's willing to help. Even at the club officer training and the contests, I had people coming to me saying, do you want me to do a role? Do you want me to do this? I see Justin there. Justin was one of those who just came forward and took on roles. So yeah, I loved it. I think it's a great opportunity and you should just go there and put up your hand and do it, and then get into the cold water.
Thank you, Eileen. So there we are. We've got two advocates and suggesting that we all should have a go at division director. Certainly, it was one of the jobs that I enjoyed. But for me, area director was the one that I think was probably one of the best jobs, because you do get to visit all of the clubs in your area more than once. Several people will do it several times during their year. So I think it's a more proactive activity, but of course the division director is about pulling together all of that information and sharing that with their area directors. I've got a few questions in and I'm going to try and answer those if I can. I've got one from Justin Barry about, other than club officer training, what practical things can the district do to ensure that clubs achieve excellence? I did several presentations during my last couple of years about excellence, and to me, there are two aspects of it, because I've been involved in excellence in the corporate world, and the two key things are, what are the kind of activities that will drive excellence in the club? And those are the things that is about getting feedback from your customers, who are your members. It's about ensuring that all of those will achieve the things that they set out to achieve when they joined Toastmasters. But it's also about member retention. It's also about getting visitors. It's also about converting those visitors into members. It's about encouraging members to go out beyond the club and getting involved in area and division activities. So there's a whole raft of things, but it's often reflected in the results then that the club delivers. And the results in terms of a distinguished club program, what percentage of their members get an award during the year, member retention, getting lots of visitors and converting those into guests, into members. So there's a whole raft of things that would determine whether clubs are excellent or striving towards excellence. I then got a question from Paul O'Mahony regarding, in order to become a region advisor in Region 10, is it necessary to have been a district director? I think from my experience of region advisors, they almost always have been a district director, but I don't know whether that is totally necessary. I don't know enough about that. I guess the thing is to get elected as a district director, then you certainly need to be very visible out in the district. But again, you go through those interview and election processes. Perhaps I could.
That one is yes. You have to be have done a district director. Okay,
thank you very much for that, Elizabeth. Anthony Durand, is it possible to receive a recording by email? Yes, it should be. Justin Barry, on average, how many interviews do the DLC members have? We're expecting it to be probably 4 to 6 interviews at the most. Depends on how many candidates come forward, is the issue. But from past experience, it's usually been about 4 to 6 interviews. Brenda Lanham, what are the criteria for being a DLC member? I think the ability to volunteer is probably one of the first criteria. And ideally, it needs to be somebody that has done one of the district leadership roles. And that's really what we've done this year. I think they've all been a district leader last year or an assistant district leader last year. Another question here from Paul O'Mahony. Is it possible for floor candidates to run for the district trio? Yes, it is possible, and it has been done in the past, but I guess I think it's something that was in one of the slides, that you've got a better chance of getting the job if you've been through the DLC process. Ted Melanphy, great leadership skill, well done, Moira. Susan Hewitt, could you please put up the slide listing district council members at some point? District council members. Okay, let me put that back up. I've got somebody else's, here we go. I can't move my slides. I don't know what's happened.
Okay, they're moving now.
Okay, district council members. District council is made up of the division director and the assistant division director. Some division directors have not had assistants, but they are encouraged to have an assistant division director on program quality and an assistant division director on club growth. And they also have the area directors of the division as well. That is the makeup of the district council, the division council. And the makeup of the district council is the district executive committee, which are those listed at the bottom of that slide. District director, program quality director, club growth director, administration manager, finance manager, public relations manager, division directors, area directors, and the immediate past district director. Still says governor on there. And club presidents and vice presidents of education. So that's the makeup of the district council and the division council. I'll go back out of that stop share and then go back to the questions. If you could do that for me, Nick. Could you please?
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm just looking here. Paul O'Mahony sending some nice messages to Moira. I'd love to see your division newsletters. Ted, thank Moira and Eileen. Wonderful to hear the positivity of what you've gained as division directors. Yes, thanks again to them. Paul O'Mahony, can you imagine an award for the club that gains the highest number of education awards per member? Does any division do that at present? I don't think any division has. Certainly that other districts have created awards for clubs that gain the highest number of education awards per member. It's something that I wanted to introduce last year. And certainly we were raising the profile of that last year. So are there any other questions? If people would like to put those in chat or actually come on the screen. We've got about 7 minutes left, 10 minutes left. Not seeing anybody raising their hands, Nick, are you?
Paul O'Mahony's got his hand up. He's volunteering.
Hi, Paul. Do you want to come on?
Yeah, I'd love to, John. And thank you ever so much for your presentation. It's
Okay.
been really interesting to hear. And I was quite interested in the conversations that have taken place in relation to the role of a division director, which, as you know, is a role I'm doing at the moment in Cork. One of the things I brought into that role from outside Toastmasters, and this is the idea I'm getting to, which is what do you bring into Toastmasters from outside? And I brought in extensive experience in role as a coach and mentor, in fact, a business in that respect. And I think it's a really valuable thing for division directors to, or people who want to be division directors, to ask themselves, what are they bringing into the role from outside in order to help bring on the next generation of leaders? Now, area directors are, as you said, John, I think it is, and in my view, the critical people. The rest of us exist to support them. I don't talk to any club. I do not skew up the communication from my area directors. They are the boss. So my job is to, in the way I think about it, is to help them to develop, help them to see that there might be some advantage for them in practicing the art of leadership within Toastmasters so that they get it for their career development and, to be blunt, for their pensions. Because frankly, the career development you get, to the extent that Toastmasters helps you with, has long-term benefits for you and your family, including your pension. And I don't think that's stressed enough, but that's Paul's view. But the key thing I want to just fly the flag for really is area directors and the variety of things that can be done by division directors as leaders for area directors. And I'm talking about phone calls. I'm talking about cups of coffee face-to-face, but I'm not into face-to-face anymore, but I'm talking about phone calls. I'm not talking about, you know, area council meetings. They are different processes. They're not coaching meetings. They're different. One-to-one is what coaching is about. One-to-one is what mentoring is about. So I just want to fly a flag in the silence or in the gap in the conversation for the role of, critical role of area directors. I was one last year. I look back on it now and say, I did my best. It was no bloody good, but I did my best because it took me more than half the year to figure out. And, I'd love to do the job again, but it would be selfish. It'd be selfish for me to go back and be an area director because my job is to bring on and help people to become area directors. So I just want to fly the flag for the area directors, John.
I think you're so right, Nick. I mean, I've always said that the area directors are our eyes and ears as far as the district leadership team is concerned. They're the ones that are out there meeting the clubs. They're the ones that are out there observing and looking at the level of excellence within those clubs. They're the ones that are picking up the data and statistics and also picking that up from the district, from the TI dashboard as well. And I think it's about interpreting that information and looking at how can we use that information to drive up standards in the club. I mean, this year we've got a significant number of clubs that are below their charter strength, and anything that we can do to support and help them to grow members and bring in new members into the club has got to be worth doing. But I agree, area directors are critical. They're the ones that, as I said, they're our eyes and ears. And the more we can support and help them and develop them is got to be valuable. I've always said that one of the big weaknesses of Toastmasters is that we only ever get a year to do a job, but it's also a strength. But you wouldn't run a business like that is the issue, is it? You wouldn't let somebody do a job for a year and then sack them and bring somebody else in. But it's a positive aspect of Toastmasters.
John, that's what they did in the White House during the last few years. And I'm not sure that it was really such a long-term strategy, but it has been tried at certain places.
Okay, thanks for that. Anyway, I've got a message from Tom O'Keefe. Found that good quality volunteers for area and district director roles was as rare as hen's teeth. What extra incentives would you recommend over the current ones? difficult, isn't it? Because I think, as Nick mentioned earlier on, is that we don't earn an awful lot of money off the back of Toastmasters. So it's got to be done to a certain extent for love.
Well, John, actually, you're not spending so much on expenses, so maybe actually, give us 50 quid a month or something.
I'm looking at Eileen there, is that she's the one that's managing the budget, and at the moment we've budgeted, I'm sure we've budgeted for the same level as previous years. But as you say, is that there isn't as much travel now, if any. There isn't an attendance at a conference that's in a hotel somewhere and having to spend at that. So I think it is difficult, isn't it, to persuade and influence people, but we've got to work hard at letting them know what the value is to them, and also what is the value to them outside of Toastmasters. I think we've heard from both the speakers this evening to say that they've learned some transferable skills that have helped them beyond Toastmasters, and I think we've got to work on that in terms of it helps in your career. If you run a business, it helps in that. And of course, it's another opportunity to develop.
I think one thing I'd say, John, you probably knew me a couple of years ago. I'm not the same person now. I'm not the same person as you saw last year. I think that you have the ability to go and develop, and I believe you have a roadmap that you can actually run. It's up to you what you put on your roadmap. Just keep saying yes to things, try new different things, and if you get stuck, ask for help.
Yeah.
You don't know where you're going to end up.
From a personal point of view, every time I've moved into another job and I've announced that on LinkedIn and Facebook, it's always brought something into me, which is, hey, that's great, I'll have a go at that. So it's everything that I've done in Toastmasters has created me an opportunity outside of Toastmasters. Now, whether that's an opportunity to earn some more money or whether it's an opportunity to develop, certainly, it's enabled me to move on in my life in some way and learn something new.
Sorry, John, Marion here. Could I just say something? Apologies.
Hi,
I was late getting onto the call, but I just want to confirm what Eileen has said. As a division director this year and only doing it for this while, it's the people you meet and the friends you make that has really made it for me, I think. It's like this whole new wider family has opened up, a Toastmasters family, and whether it's just a WhatsApp message for somebody or a message after you've done your contest or whatever, the support is fantastic. So I wouldn't take away that there's a lot of work. There is a workload, and I wouldn't sell it big in a poke to anybody. There is a lot of work in doing a contest, and there is a lot of work in doing the training. But I do think the rewards outside of that are really huge. The friendship is be the first one.
Yeah, I think we shouldn't underestimate the number of new friends that we meet in our journey. So, there's that, isn't there? Is that if you think about, I've been in Toastmasters now 13 years and I've made lots of friends at club level, at district level, and there are people that I would guess that you're going to remain in contact with for the rest of your life. We now are getting close to time, so I'm looking to see whether there's any other messages coming in, any other things coming in. I don't know whether Gerard wants to close the meeting. But before he does,
John, good evening to you and good evening everybody again.
Just before you do, Gerard, if I can thank everybody for coming on this evening and participating. Have a really good weekend that's coming up, and best wishes for Christmas and the new year. But I'm sure we'll be talking and seeing each other somewhere online during December. So Gerard, over to you to close the meeting.
Okay, once again, John, thank you so much indeed. Give John a big clap for his presentation. It was very, what would I say, simplified, but yet to the accuracy of what was needed. So he gave out pertinent dates which you need to make your applications for. There will be another reminder coming out in December and another in January for a call for nominations. I agree and 100% concur with people who spoke about the area directors, division directors. They were very, very enjoyable experiences for me. I visited all the clubs during all those tenures. The one thing that we do miss in the quality of what our duties are at the moment is the lack of in-person meeting. It's lovely to shake hands to a person, maybe sit down in a corner, have a cup of coffee with them, or hear what enthusiasm or maybe what conflict they have. You know, we're all in a human situation, so it's good to be a listener in that situation. There is little further that I can add to John's delivery this evening. Thank you, John, for it. Thanks everybody also for coming on board. Please give it thought with regard to leadership. And as I said in the beginning, leadership can be at district level. It can be so much also in your own club. Encourage those, and especially encourage those bright stars within your club who could be potential leaders and committee members. It's by encouraging and talking to people, relating to them, supporting them, and thanking them is our steps to success within our organization. So from that point of view, I wish you all a very happy weekend. We have a very busy season coming up starting next Monday. There will be many meetings. We have our winter summit conference coming up on the 5th and 6th. And please also remember, we have our Christmas party is coming up on Saturday night, the 5th of December. We have a special guest there of Margaret Page, who is the incoming next year international president. So she will be somebody definitely to hear that evening. So I thank you all for your attention this evening, and I thank you all for the great work that you're doing on behalf of our voluntary organization of Toastmasters. I think I'll close it at that. John, if there's anything else that you wish to supplement, say so.
No, I would just make sure, and I'll liaise with Elizabeth on that, is to make sure that the video of this session is available. I'll also make the slides available as well, if people want those separately, because that information is on the slides.
And I presume also anybody that's interested, reach out to John. His email is in the communications that have gone out, or also I'm happy to relate to anybody or talk to anybody that's interested.
I just look forward to being inundated with applications for the various leadership roles.
John, don't confuse the elections, please. Okay, so there's further ado for me to say only thank you, John Cox, our immediate past district director. You've always done nobly, John. Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Oh, yes. Good to hear that word. Thanks, Gerard. Okay, everyone. Bye-bye. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.